Swift Cuts is broken. Swift Cuts is
perk
useless.
will get Genji nerfed.
Acrobatic Swift Cuts
better.
is
You can do
overrated.
this.
I'm not a Genji buff. What were the devs thinking? Hey, stop! I know this is a hot topic for debate, but we won't get anywhere like this. Yes, Swift Cuts is overrated, but it's also underrated. It's weird, which is why I'm dedicating an entire video to this power paradox. We will go over the hidden complexities of the perk, how to use it in-game, and if it is better than Dragon's Thirst. Let's get right into it. Genji's kit is really interesting because it's quite simple to grasp at a basic level, but very complicated to fully understand. For example, the dash reset mechanic is great, but it often baits players into dashing in and relying on a kill to get out, which is not something you can always count on. The main consequence of this design trap is that a large portion of the community never ends up learning the concept of staging, causing their engagements to always be boom or bust since they never save their mobility to get out. Swift Cuts operates in a similar fashion as dash resets, being a tool that is very helpful in some situations but unreliable in others. Now, that might sound obvious to some, but the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because of just how much depth the perk has. How it fits into Genji's kit is only a small fraction of the equation, so trying to form an opinion on its quality based on just that will inevitably lead to a shallow take like overrated or underrated. The correct approach would be to stop thinking about a fixed power level, instead judging it on a case-by-case basis. What playstyle does the Genji player have? What heroes are present in each team? What map is being played? All of these questions will help you figure out the potential value of Swift Cuts in any given match, allowing you to make a more informed decision on which perk to pick. From my testing, situations that involve lots of movement such as dive matchups or maps with ton of angles and flanks tend to make Swift Cuts shine, while Dragon's Thirst tends to be a really safe and strong option to break through stronghold position and sturdier compositions. Do take this information with a grain of salt though, as I'm speaking from personal experience, which comes with inherent biases toward my playstyle. I highly encourage everyone to experiment and see what works best for them. Alright, but how should we use the perk during matches? My current theory is that the less you think about it, the better. Here's why. A combo such as dash right click melee, deflect and then another right click melee will give you a dash reset to get out while being fairly safe as long as you aren't being shot from multiple directions at once. This makes it an incredibly accessible combo, but that's exactly the problem with it. Using Swift Cuts and getting value with it are two different things, so if you try too hard to use the perk, will tank your value output going for the first dive opportunity you see, just because you can go in and out without dying. At that point, you would be better off not even having a minor perk. Meanwhile, if you focus on finding good plays and just so happen to be allowed to go for one because of Swift Cuts, then your value output will actually increase. It's a simple but powerful shift in mindset. Picking this perk will of course also change how you blade, as you won't have lifesteal on it anymore, but that isn't necessarily an issue. After all, the matchups that benefit Dragon's Thirst are the ones that allow you to keep swinging and chaining targets, which is not something that will often happen when playing versus a composition like Bow, Genji Tracer, Lucio, Kiriko. Heck, it's hard to even go for one target against that, so 250 HP should be enough when ulting in those matches. Because of this, you don't really have to worry about opportunity cost when picking a minor perk. If one of them is good, the other is bad and vice versa. At least for the most part. Some characters such as Bap create interesting choices. On one hand, Swift Cuts make forcing out his long cooldowns much easier, as the best way he has to stop you from diving him is by shooting you before you close the gap, which is made much harder when your effective engagement distance is suddenly way bigger. On the other hand, Dragon's Thirst provides a ton of extra HP to help you stay alive while cutting through his powerful sustain, which pretty much turns Blade from a cooldown forcing ultimate to one that actually secures fight wins on its own. Both choices are valid, so you just have to pick one based on what feels most important in a given match. Oh, and I almost forgot, if you're playing with Zarya, you're basically the main tank of your team, and so Swift Cuts becomes a must pick to enable you to do your frontline job much more efficiently. Deal tons of damage, force cooldowns, give Zarya energy, rinse and repeat. And that's about it, honestly. At the end of the day, what matters most is personal preference, so use my advice as guidance, build your own experience, and carve out your unique identity. Hey, poke from the future here. After reaching champion with both minor perks, I have two main takeaways that I wanted to share with you all. The first one is the consistency difference. Swift Cuts is just inherently way less consistent than Dragon's Thirst, and it's not even close. On its own, this isn't enough of a reason to not pick Swift Cuts, at least depending on your playstyle that is, but the second reason is what, comboed with this other one, seals the deal for me, which is the value output. And that might sound weird after I've been singing the praises of Swift Cuts for a while here and how people don't really understand it. And yes, it is true, the perk has a really high skill ceiling and floor, deceptively, honestly. But one of the main problems is simply that it's really hard to actually measure the amount of value that you're getting out of Swift Cuts, even when you're using it well. Like, did you actually need the perk to actually win that fight? It's so weird to just judge it because yes, it's going to help you take space and have a little bit of a better chance in duels and whatnot, but it's so hard to measure. Meanwhile, Dragon's Thirst is just, oh hey, you just suddenly basically have a blade that is as strong as Nano Blade. It's basically an entire ultimate in perk form. It's just, it's crazy. You can literally, it's like comparing games that you don't have it to games that you do have the Dragon's Thirst perk is just like night and day. You can just do so much more. You can basically hard carry games just basically through excellent ult usage just because of what it allows you to do. You can consistently get so many picks with Blade even against a lot of very strong ultimates or very strong utility cooldowns like Immortality Field and the kinds, right? So maybe it's just a question of like me not being able to measure the value of Swift Cuts as accurately. But honestly, if that is something that is happening, right, where it's hard to actually see what the perk is doing, that is something that should ring an alarm bell in terms of like, okay, maybe this perk doesn't actually do as much as you think. And again, this could just be a problem of our viewing of the perk. But the more that I've been thinking about it and experimenting and everything, at least on a personal level, I've been falling out of love with it and just falling more and more in love with the extra sustain from the Blade lifesteal. It's just insane. I'm not saying any of this to discourage you from trying Swift Cuts. If anything, it's the opposite, right? The whole point of this video is to give you all of the information, all of the nuances on this decision making so that you can actually try both perks, doing the best of your ability with both to actually understand which one you want to pick and in which situations, right? But at least on a personal level, I am not picking and I have not picked Swift Cuts in weeks. This is basically all I really wanted to add here at the end of this video. But also, if you are curious about Swift Cuts and you want to use it the best of its capabilities, I have released a full video, I believe like an hour-long workshop that I did with some of my patrons, talking the praises of the perk and showcasing live how I was using it to benefit my playstyle, allow for more uptime, and still having the same quality as a lot of those setup plays, right? Where you close the gap and have good positions and good timing and whatnot without having to make so many sacrifices positionally to go take those positions beforehand in the fight, right? You can participate more in the poking phase and still be able to make those engagements. So you can check out that whole video to get more informed, essentially.